That is something that I have noticed with a lot of different people, including myself, of like feeling rushed, feeling we need to accomplish, and we need to do these things. And then you find yourself not accomplishing anything because nothing has enough depth in it in order for it to be sustainable. Hey tribe, welcome back to another episode of Soul Chat Saturdays. It's your host Mawaya. If you're new here, we're glad to have you, and let's get into it. So this week has been a week of just plowing through some things, a week of making things happen, making things falling into place, and I wonder if you feel the same way. Sometimes you just gotta have those days where you are, you have to bust a lot of things out. You have to bust a lot of things out in order to achieve your goals. So that was one of those weeks for me. And y'all, I am really exhausted. I let some commitments fall to the wayside. I had to prioritize some commitments, and trying to juggle a lot of different things doesn't always feel good. So that's kind of what I want to talk about this week, and I want to provide some ease, some restitution for you if you're listening to this this week. Sometimes we just do the most. Sometimes we are just doing the most, and I blame this on our insatiable need to feel like we need to be productive. I blame it on our society as we have it set up right now, where we have to be constantly producing and being productive in order to pay our bills, in order to live life and do what we want to do and have some sense of freedom. And so I blame it on that. I blame it on each individual person, including myself, for saying yes to things that we probably should say no to, or feeling like we have to be a jack of all trades, when really mastering a few things in this lifetime is good enough. I wonder if y'all can talk to me about this. I wonder if we have this need to be productive and this insatiable urge to keep doing, keep going, keep hustling, have that hustle mentality, because we feel like we need to conquer the world in this lifetime. Or not even if we want to say this lifetime, we can say in these next few years. And I'm talking to those of us who have less experience in life. So I'm talking to the younger millennials. I'm talking to Gen Z, where we were born into this hustle culture, where, with the 2008 market crash, the older millennials kind of understood oh shoot, there are no safety nets, it's up to us. And then as younger millennials, I think in 2008 I was 15. So what year is that? Is that ninth grade? Is that like a freshman in high school? Something like that. Sophomore high school, freshman in high school. So I wasn't out there yet. But being, you grow up and you graduate high school, some of us go to college, and then we're out here in the real world. And we grew up post 2008, post the recession, and we realized we didn't get a chance to have us rest in security of just a long-term job plan, a long-term career plan. That's really where it started to make sense to move around more. It's made more sense to have less loyalty to places. And then even more so, I think after COVID, and even before then, there was a lot of brewing of entrepreneurship. There was people who understood generational curses and wanting to end that generational curse of poverty and just living in survival mode all the time. I think that a lot of us wanted to get out of that. And because we got a taste of it very early, we didn't get to really fully appreciate like the 90s, the flourishing of the 90s, even though we were born in the 90s. We didn't have it with adult eyes, so we took it for granted. And now we're at a space where we're all adults and we're out here trying to make things happen. But COVID even showed us, or the quarantine, I'd rather say that, showed us that things can be shut down and there are no safety nets. You know, there are no guarantees. And so when you have that coupled with not necessarily knowing who you are, because you've been told who you are your whole entire life, you've been told, you know, get good grades in school, then you go to college, and then you get a good job, and then you find your partner, and then you retire. You have kids and you retire. And like all that has been told to us. And then when we realize like that is not the way, or that way also doesn't have any guarantees, we were out here scattered like, I want to say scattered like butterflies, but that's a much more pleasant picture. We're scattered like roaches, trying to figure out where we fit in, who we are, where to go next. And now we have the luxury of being in America, to have time to even think about these things, to contemplate, who am I, what do I want to do. So we are very blessed, but with that creates a lot of options. And when you have a lot of options, we tend to not act on it, we tend to not make decisions, or we want to try everything out in order to really figure out if this is a yes or this is a no. So in the latter of trying to figure out if this is a yes or this is a no, we end up doing a lot of different things, and we end up not committing to a lot of things. So that's another hallmark of our generation, of non-committal, energy. I couldn't find a better way to phrase that. So we have this sensation that we can't commit to things, or we have a hard time committing to things because we're trying so many different things. And then we have the fear of missing out. Maybe if I don't try this, I might regret it. I don't want to live with regret. I don't want to live with the doubt that I made the wrong decision. So I need to try all these different things. And then what you find at the end of that is that you're completely burnt out. And you don't want to do anything. Or if you don't get burnt out, all your commitments start to stack up on top of each other. And then you'll be forced to cut some things out. So that's what I'm dealing with this week. I'm really thinking about the things that I need to cut out. What am I focused on? So it's time to get focused, right? It's time to have a goal, to stick to one or two. 2 is good. 2 is a good ebb and flow of when, we can get into ebbing and flowing when we're talking about achieving goals. So 2 is good to achieve right now. And then if you have other things that you want to accomplish in life, plan your life out, as much as you can. So if you have 2 goals right now, but overall you have 5 things that you really want to master, you have achieved these goals first, and then once you get used to that goal being achieved and it's sustained and it's doing this thing, then that's when you move on to your next one and realize that you have your whole lifetime to tackle these things. You don't have to do all of it right now. But I get it. I get why we feel that way. I get that we feel that way, that we have to do things right now. And I wonder what that is. Maybe that's something bigger. Maybe we all tap into the same knowing that maybe we should be doing these things right now. I don't know. I don't really know. But that is something that I have noticed with a lot of different people, including myself, of feeling rushed, feeling we need to accomplish, and we need to do these things. And then you find yourself not accomplishing anything because nothing has enough depth in it. in order for it to be sustainable. Now, some of us are blessed to know what we want to do early on in life, and we've stuck to that path. So kudos to you if you are that person that just knew what you wanted to do, or you stayed in the same arena and maybe it evolved within that arena, but you pretty much stayed a certain course, and now you are doing the doggone thing. Now you feeling like you're flowing with it. So kudos to you on that. Keep that same energy when you move on to the next, because eventually you will want to move on to something new. And maybe you won't, but that seems like a natural thing, a natural progression to like want to keep growing and evolving and seeing other sides of yourself and getting to explore other parts of your personality and other parts of your strength and thought process. So, that is something to look forward to. So kudos on you, that for those who have been blessed enough to be able to know off the bat. But for those of us who followed the school path and didn't really know after that because we just did what we were told, we got some work to do. But we also have to know to slow down. So this brings me into the topic of like ebbs and flows of life. We can get into some masculine and feminine energy as well, because that all is relevant. The ebb and flow is masculine, I would say feminine and then masculine. The ebb and then the flow. Or we can flip it. I'm just thinking about the visualization of it. But flow is also feminine. Okay, so the ebbs and flows of goal achieving. And this is so important because I feel like we beat ourselves up when we are constantly in this achieving, flow, push energy, and then nothing happens, nothing works out, or we're exhausted, we're burnt out. And so yes, like this is something that's super important that I wanted to bring up, that it is a thing. We should pay attention to this. So when we talk about masculine and feminine energy, both of them are necessary. And I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy in their essence, what they embody and how we embody both of those to all different degrees, But when it comes to goal setting, they both are super important. And it's important to know where you are in that process. So masculine energy, it's very forward moving. It's very projection. It's very action oriented. It's very, you get what I'm saying? Like it's very energetically exuberant. It is pushing energy outward. Feminine energy is receptivity. It is this movement. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see exactly what I'm doing. It is this movement. It is circular. It is the ebb. It is the in-breath. It is the taking a moment. It is the ideas. It is the chaos. It is things that are ungrounded. It is where you get your greatest ideas. It is the darkness. It is the incubator. It is the period of time before the forward push. And so, how does this relate to our goals? Well, a goal starts with an idea. You start to ideate. That is when you are in your feminine energy. That is when feminine energy is in its work, right? It is, you're taking the time to think things through. You're thinking through a plan. You are inspired. You are creative. You're writing your ideas down. Creativity is also a very feminine essence. You're writing your ideas down. You're formulating. You are excited. You're happy. You are, full because you're full of ideas. You're creating. Just like a baby, your body is creating something inside, internally. Then once that gets filled up to a point, you will know when it's time to take action. You can no longer ideate anymore. You can no longer, because it gets overwhelming. That's when the feminine gets into its shadow side. It gets overwhelming. You start making too many options for yourself. You start creating too many avenues that you can take, and then you end up not doing anything. So the stagnation is a feminine shadow. Actually, it's more of a masculine shadow that is created by the feminine overaction. Then you have, so once you get full and you're ready to execute your goals, you formulated, you've created step-by-step plans, or maybe you haven't thought it through all the way, but you have at least your first step, and you want to keep walking in that inspired action. That's when you take action. That's when you step into your masculine. That's when you go for it. You take the actions. You've laid out the steps in your mind. You've written it down. You made it plain. And now it's time to act on it. It's time to push through. But you are confident because you've already thought it through. You've already taken the time to be in your feminine and think it through. You've already taken the time to really know what you want. You really focus on what you want. And now your masculine energy grounds it. It executes it. It brings it to the 3D. It creates, if we talk about alchemy, it creates the salt. You put the salt on the earth. It creates you manifest physical things through your masculine energy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so then as you're in your masculine, you're networking, you're doing these things, you're putting things into the internet. It sounds kind of old the way I said that, but you're putting things in the internet. You are creating space, creating avenues for yourself, for your idea, for everything like that. And you are making it happen. Then it comes to a point where that is no longer working. You've done everything that you can do, and now you feel like you're just pushing against a brick wall. That's your biggest indicator that you need to get back into your feminine state when it comes to this goal. Or like I said, if you have two goals, you can pivot to the other goal and act in your masculine there, as long as you're not burnt out. And but you know that you have overdone your masculine when you are hitting a brick wall, but you keep trying to push. Now, I know that is contrary to the message that we get when it comes to hustle culture, when it comes to doing the damn thing, because we are told to sleep when you die. We are told to keep pushing no matter what. Now, there's nothing that has challenged that idea and still say that you can still be successful if you follow the natural rhythm of yourself. Because they say, or what the message that we are receiving is that either you hustle, or you don't hustle, you rest, but you fail. So there's never been any space made for an ebb and a flow. But I'm here to shake that up because I'm trying that out in my life. And there's different different perspective that you take with that when you're testing that out. One being that it is about the journey and not the destination. Another thought being that you don't have to conquer everything right now, that you do have time. I know we feel like we don't have time, but you do have time because it's about the journey. So you're already achieving, you're already doing what you're supposed to do. So yes, like when you're hitting a brick wall, when nothing seems to be working out, when your attitude is funky, your things are fumbling, you no longer can keep up with your commitments, you're doing too much. Your masculine is doing too much. And that's when your feminine will go into its shadow of the negative self-talk. It goes back into an inaction. It goes into second guessing your goals, your dreams. It goes into completely unraveling the work and the creativity that you cultivated when you first started in your feminine aspect. So that feminine will come through and wreck it like Kali Ma. It will come and wreck your goal because you're overdoing your masculine. You're not listening to the feminine side of you. And so she's coming through and wrecking it all. She's going to shut that shit down. Your feminine side is going to completely negative self-talk yourself out of your goals. It's going to completely make you feel shitty. It's going to make you feel like you are incapable. It's going to throw your masculine into its shadow, and it becomes a whole cycle. So that's why I'm like, we want to really pay attention to the ebb and flow and actually give it the credit instead of listening to go, 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 go. So that is the flow. Once you take time to rest and restore, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be a long period. Sometimes you need 1 to 2 days to really just rest. Let your manifestation do its thing. Know that you've done your best. So if you haven't done your best, then, that's something for you when you go back into your feminine space of let's recalibrate, let's reevaluate what has happened, what has gone on. Then it allows you to really see what is working and what is not working and to rework your plan. That's when you're in your healthy feminine. It is no judgment. It is all let's rework, let's replan, and let's do it again. Or if you are doing your best, it's again still reevaluating what you can do differently and what you're just really resting. You're giving yourself time to self-care. You're appreciating your efforts. You are taking the time to celebrate yourself. I know a lot of times we don't want to celebrate ourselves because we feel like we haven't achieved, but that is a disservice to you. You will never feel like you've achieved ever if you never actually do it in the present moment. So if you're constantly finding yourself like, oh, I can't celebrate right now because I'm not where I want to be, then you will never be where you want to be. You have to take the time to get back into your feminine and appreciate what has been produced. It's like if you have a child, if you to mirror it to getting pregnant and giving birth, these are the exact same thing. They're just parallels of the same energy. So you're creating a child internally. That's that feminine energy. And then it's time for that child to be birthed into the world. So you are now using your masculine energy to push this child into the world. And now you're using your masculine energy to raise this child and everything like that. But then it comes a feminine time to really see the fruits of your labor of raising this child, allowing them to make their mistakes, allowing your manifestation to work its magic, to do what it's doing, to allow it to unfold in the way that is most natural for it. If you start to get back into your masculine and trying to do too much with this child, you're going to create a shadow aspect of that child that is going to rebel, that's going to not understand its own true power. You're not going to actually understand your child's own true power and strength and durability because you keep trying to get in there and correct and do this and do this and this, and you're exhausted and you're frustrated, and the child's frustrated, and it just falls apart. So you have to go back into your receptivity mode, your observance, your evaluation mode, and give your creation space to blossom. When you find that your creation is going off track, maybe you made a deal with somebody that you should not have, maybe you should have taken some time to think it through, then you can exert your masculine energy to correct at that point. But don't preemptively do anything because you have to trust in yourself. You have to show yourself that you trust yourself and that you've done your due diligence, that you've done the work. So that is how to give that parallel. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more clear to you about what your role is and how you should really be working with your internal energy. Understand that you will always be given the cues and the signs of when it's time to switch, when it's time to go into the opposite state. You will always know based on how you feel. If you want to know more about this, I have a video on believing yourself the first time. I may have a episode on the Soul Chat Saturdays. I'm not entirely sure at this point, but I definitely have a video on that on YouTube, so check it out. Believe in yourself for the first time. So you believe you're checking in with your internal emotions, your energy level, your attitude, all those things. If all those things are not in a balanced state, then you're doing too much. Either you're too much in your feminine, you're thinking too much through, and you're overthinking, and you're talking yourself out of things, and you're way too much in that space of this, or you're doing too much, you're exuding yourself too much, you're ejecting yourself too much, you are in too much forward movement for anything to actually stabilize itself and optimize. So you have to know when it is time to switch. Feel how you feel inside. Give yourself rest. You don't have to conquer the world. I know we want to. There's so much shit that needs to be fixed. But if everybody was on their duty and doing what their natural soul inclination was supposed to be up here doing, things will take care of themselves, because we are all different and we all have different callings. We all have different passions and motivations in life and different things that we care about. So if we all just stuck to our own plans and stopped trying to pick up the slack for other people, then we would have the energy to execute exactly what we're supposed to be doing here. So just think about that. Take it in. If you are exhausted, please rest. Please take some time. Please declutter. Declutter your efforts, declutter your mind, declutter your space, and know that you can focus on maybe a couple things at a time, and that is okay. You're doing well. You'll be doing much better if you don't feel like you're doing well. You'll be doing much better. So, all right, y'all, I love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Soul Chat Saturdays on the Soul Uninhibited podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is at the Mawaya Tribe. Come follow me there. Come subscribe. Come and interact with me. If you have a question or you have a comment on today's episode or any episodes in the past, you can always email me at tribe@mawayatribe.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Mawaya Tribe. Mawaya stands for Meet You Where You Are, and it's spelled MYWYA Tribe. And I look forward to connecting with y'all. I love y'all so much, and I will see y'all next week. Happy journeying.